to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. I'm sure by now you've heard about the latest thing in technology, AI, right? ChatGPT, Poe, the Metaverse, all the things. When a new technology comes to play, it's tempting to ignore it. It might feel complicated, or maybe you don't see the why of it, or maybe you think, it's just the next shiny thing and it's going to be a trend, so do I really need to pay attention to it? Can I just let it go by the wayside? And I have to say, of course, any and all of these reactions are understandable. However, if you expect your business to be relevant throughout decades, not months or years, then you need to be open to recognizing technology that's not one of those things that up above, right? Things that change the game that need to be paid attention to. Today, my guest, Leslie Carothers of Savour Partnership, a digital marketing firm for interior designers, is here to talk about something in that category: how Metaverse applications and AI are changing the future of the world, business in general, and our industry in specific. If your knee-jerk reaction is to tune out on conversations around AI or Web3, I urge you to hold back and save your judgment to the end. Leslie is not here to tell us that our jobs are going away. She is here to tell us how we can use these new tools to our advantage, how to utilize them to create better client experiences, more efficient processes, and how to be on the cutting edge of something pretty spectacular. Now, before I tell you more about Leslie, I'd like to take a moment to thank our show sponsor, Revelwoods. Revelwoods is your source for premium hardwood and resilient flooring. Using the Revelwoods Selector tool, you'll be able to find curated suggestions for each specific project based on criteria such as style, color, zip code, and usage. Because the species of wood that performs in a laundry room in Key West is not going to be the same for a living room in Chicago. And you need to know before you specify. And when you sign up for a free professional membership, you'll get access to the exclusive discounts and referral benefits. Visit revelwoods.com to get started. Alrighty, let's hear about this Metaverse and what it is and how you might use it in your interior design business. Hi, Leslie. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business again.
You are so welcome. It's great to be here.
So, Leslie, this I just told you off air. This is a fun conversation because I know enough to be dangerous. I understand some of the things you're talking about, but as I was reading your intake form, I was like, I have to Google that term, and I have to Google that term. And then finally I was like, you know what? If you have to Google that term, probably a few others might too. So we decided a good place to start was like, let's just get some basic lingo and what the things mean. So you're going to start with telling us the difference, the distinction between a 3D virtual walkthrough, which is what we did together with Seasonal Living, and you can certainly talk about that, and a Metaverse activation. So, yeah, I have no idea what that means.
So there's two distinct differences. A 3D virtual walkthrough is a one-person experience, like the Seasonal Living virtual show house that we did. And that is where one person at a time can view it. It is viewable as if you're in it, and you can view it on your computer, on your mobile phone, on desktop, I should say, or laptop, mobile phone, and you can view it through a virtual reality headset. So that's a virtual 3D walkthrough. A
Okay.
And those are very finely rendered. They can be rendered up to 16K. So in a virtual 3D walkthrough, you have a visual experience where the items in it, the furniture, decor items, look very lifelike.
Right. Right. And that was our experience with seasonal living. And I understand what you're talking about. Like when I was personally me or you were enjoying the experience of virtually walking through the home, it wasn't like I'm looking at you in the home too. It's like we could have been in the home at the same time, is what you're saying, but we're only experiencing ourself and the item that we're virtually walking through,
Or interacting with. Exactly.
interacting. Right. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Now, a metaverse activation is completely different because that is a community-based experience. And that is where multiple people can be in a space or feel like they're in a space or are in the space at the same time virtually, but as avatars.
Oh, whoa.
So when you log on to a metaverse platform of some type or another, you are asked to create an avatar. And then, as that avatar, you are able to navigate that space and you can obviously walk, you can run, you can skip, you can dance. It's a lot of fun, but you're not there as your actual self. And depending on the metaverse platform, thousands of people can be in a virtual space together. So concerts that took place during COVID and still do, big events. You even, LuAnn, could hold a LuAnn live in a metaverse activation on your own website.
So it's so when I go through a 3D virtual walkthrough, I'm not seeing any rendition of myself. I'm just, my eyes are walking through. But
Correct.
you're saying when you do the metaverse activation, I could like make my hand go above my face and I'm seeing if you're there and I know what your avatar looks like. I can be like, hey, Leslie, how are you? We're hanging out in the same metaverse together.
Yes, and you can chat in a metaverse activation. So let's just say um, we're at your LuAnn Live coming up in November, right?
Yeah.
And if you had a digital twin, like a metaverse activation that was like that, this is going to blow your mind. But you could actually be playing a video of the real event in the metaverse activation. And anyone from around the world could join in as their avatar and watch the real event in the metaverse activation from their home.
Okay.
Yes, LuAnn. And this is why I wanted to talk to you all this
Oh
time
my
because
gosh. I know
it,
you literally brought this up to me 6 months ago and I'm like, "Yes, we're going to do it." It's just like the calendar is insanity, right? So, okay. So, here's I think a couple of things I'm not making the connections on. Number 1 would be forget the tech on it this moment. But why would I want to do this? Why would I want I understand, like, if you're saying, like, during COVID, you couldn't go to a concert, okay, but what is the experience or even, like, you're talking about coming to LuAnn Live, what is different for me experiencing that as a metaverse activation as opposed to watching it? Because a concert, I'm not getting up to sing on stage, and if I'm at a conference, I'm not being invited to sing on, to speak. I'm still there to watch what's happening. How is it different?
so within a metaverse activation, and you'd have to try one to see how much fun it is. But because you're there as your avatar, first of all, there is no judgment about appearance. So that's one thing. You don't have to worry about what you look like. You don't have to buy clothes to go to it. So it is definitely for the
Those are
viewer,
pluses.
yeah, a much less expensive way to get information. You, though, as the owner of it, could certainly charge for it or, have people sign up to get an email to enter it at the time of the event. And big, people that put on concerts in the metaverse do that. It's a very, very viable way to make money. And people like to join from the privacy of their own home. They don't always want to be visible. They like the networking with other avatars. So because you can chat in a metaverse activation while you're speaking, I can be chatting with people in the chat about what you're saying, and we can be learning and talking with each other. So
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know if you ever experienced a design bloggers conference or influencers conference, as it's now called, when they had the big screen up behind the speakers.
Yeah.
But during the time when that was part of it, the entire audience was actually chatting with each other about what the speaker was saying, and it added so much more information and depth to the conversation.
So it's interesting because when we did LuAnn Live 2021, we had to do it virtually. And that was a big feature of it. We had 2 full days of presentations from 8:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And the chat was on fire. Like, different, somebody would say something and then everybody would talk about it. So the thing is, if I do that analogy for anybody in the audience that was at LuAnn Live 2021 virtually, they were communicating with each other, but they weren't seeing each other. They were watching as if they were watching us on TV. That's what it looked like. We set it up to look like you were watching the news. And how is that different? Because if I'm chatting through the text chat, where is my interaction with the other people as an avatar?
So, because when you're watching a metaverse activation, it's a 3D immersive experience. And if you
Oh.
put on a virtual reality headset, which you don't have to, you can watch a 3D experience from your desktop. But if you wanted to put on a virtual headset and you had one, it would feel like you were there with everyone else, like you were actually
Oh.
there.
Oh, so instead of being the person outside observing from the computer, you feel like you're in the room.
Yes,
That's insane. That's
it's
insane.
very, very exciting tech and very exciting and so much fun. And there's so many things you can do. In a metaverse activation, for instance, you can have links. You can play games. So the links can go to anything that you want them to go to. Find more information. Sign up for our email list. Buy now. Be
Wow.
the first to get your VIP tickets for our next event. So those are all things, there can be a link anywhere. And as your avatar, you use your keyboard and you walk up to a bubble or whatever that looks like, and you actually click, and then that opens up a link, and that takes you out to the actual link on your site, for instance.
Wow.
And people can take the action that you want them to take. So it's a very immersive 3D experience with a community that is very fun.
So if so when you mention like what 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 metaverse activations have you attended? Like, so you've been to concerts, and what is the process for attending one? And do you need special technology? And what is all of that?
No? Okay. So I'm going to take a step back from that question. So the first thing to know is that there are many metaverse platforms. So
Okay.
many people think that the metaverse is Meta. In other words, Facebook renamed itself Meta, which was a smart branding move, but Meta is not the metaverse. Meta, used to be Facebook, has its own metaverse called Horizon Worlds, but that is not very popular. They
Oh,
did not do a good job with that. So there are many metaverse platforms. Step one to really understand some of the big ones for the kids. Roblox is the biggest one. Fortnite, many of you watching probably, have kids that play Roblox or Fortnite. Decentraland is another one. The Sandbox is another big one. Spatial is the one that I like. Um, and we can talk about that a little bit later if you'd like. But Spatial is another one. Bona is another one. There are many, and there are many in different countries, which have millions of people on them. So in the U.S., I have to say, we are very behind what's happening, especially in the Asian countries, with respect to how brands are connecting with consumers, with digitally native consumers. They are connecting through these metaverse activations. And in terms of here in the US, almost every major fashion and beauty brand has a very sophisticated metaverse activation going on right now.
Really?
Yes, Gucci, LuAnn, Chanel, Clinique, Nike, Adidas, you name it. All of these big, very popular, very fashion-forward brands have major metaverse activations happening right now, and they are making millions of dollars from them.
So when you say a brand, first of all, I just want to make a funny comment, like as an aside. When you said Roblox or whatever it is, I was like, do you know how many times I've bought my granddaughter, who turned 8 2 days ago, a gift card to Roblox? And literally, Vinny says to me, "What is that?" I'm like, "I have no idea. It's on her list. That's all I know." So that means for at least a year, my 7-year-old has been going into metaverses, is what you're telling me.
Absolutely. Roblox is the biggest metaverse. Yes.
Yeah, I literally I literally that has been an exact exchange. He's like, "What's this thing?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's on her list," and her mother
So
approves it. So
they could buy things with Robux, ROBUX, and that's why she
okay,
wanted a gift certificate to buy whatever it is she wanted to buy.
yeah, interesting. Okay, so now back to the high end fashion brands. Okay,
Yes.
so
Fun.
so when you say the high end fashion brands have their own metaverse activations going on, are they event driven, or like right now you and I could log in and there's always something happening? Like, how does that work?
They're both. There's always something happening and they're event driven. So Fashion Week is happening on a metaverse platform.
Whoa.
Fashion weeks are happening on metaverse platforms. Big magazines have debuts on metaverse platforms of fashion collections. Beauty brands, Clinique is very big into the metaverse right now. They have a huge activation there that's very beautiful. But a big part of metaverse activations in general, and where they are right now, if you're a very big brand, is the gamification aspect. So a lot of people don't realize that video gaming is a bigger industry than music and movies and streaming put together.
Whoa.
Put together. It is a bigger industry financially than those three entertainment media put together.
Wow.
So our world is consisting, and especially our next generation of consumers, of people who love and play video games. And
It's
the
crazy.
gamification aspect of these metaverse activations is what's drawing these younger consumers into them, and brands know that. So brands are positioning themselves within metaverse, within their own metaverse activations to gather in and give these younger buyers of their products of the future the opportunity to play and explore their brand. And West Elm partnered with Roblox for virtual furniture because you can build your own virtual house in Roblox. So young kids are learning architecture. They're learning all about design. They can explore their taste and their style. And it's all virtual. So, there is no concrete anything that they have to really do except for ask their grandmother for Robux.
Well, it's the truth. And it's interesting that you say that. I didn't recall it until you did, but that's what she does often. She's like, "Mom, I'm designing a house in here and blah blah blah." And my daughter's like, "Look at like she's just," and I've never sat down to look at what she's doing in it. Usually because, here's the dynamic. When we all go to dinner together, we usually meet Beth and Bella and Danny, once every week or 2 weeks for dinner, Vid and I. And the thing is that Bella has to pay attention and interact with her grandparents for a half hour, and then she can play her games. And it works for us because we get to know what's going on with her. We have fun with her, and then we get to have adult conversation. Her headphones go on, and then but Beth will look at me and say, "Oh, she's designing a house right now," and I'm just like, "She's what?"
And they're very elaborate what these kids are doing. I mean, most parents don't get it because, they're not there. And the thing about Roblox particularly is it looks very cartoonish when you look at it. And a lot of these metaverse platforms, they have a cartoonish look to them because they are speaking to kids.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, training those kids' minds how to interact with the brand, and how to
Sure.
buy from a brand.
Sure, sure. So now I understand, like, if I am one of the fashion designers, Dior, Dion van Furstenberg, whoever that's involved in Fashion Week, like my other son was a celebrity makeup artist for Diane van Furstenberg, and he used to be the key for Fashion Week. He did her Fashion Week multiple
Wow.
seasons. Yeah, and he is insanely talented makeup artist. And so one of the things is I get, a million people to come as opposed to 500 people to come or 1,000. But the thing is, we also know that buying and selling is relationship based. So I get it. If I want to sell, of 2,000 widgets, I got to get it in front of 20,000 people. But will it be that the big buyers will always come because they want to see the quality, all the things, and this is just so that the regular Joes across the world who would never be with an invitation to Fashion Week can experience it?
That is part of it. It's the same thing
Wow.
it could be for any trade show or market. I mean, the opportunity to be able to see and feel like you're in it. Remember, if
Wow,
you
yeah.
want to
Not
wear
watching a
virtual,
TV show on the news, like here's what
exactly,
happened on the runway, right?
totally different. You're right there. You're sitting in the front seat. I mean, it's
Wow.
a very, very cool experience to have. And you know that we do these workshops. I don't mean to plug that, but we do workshops once a month um, on Midjourney and the Metaverse. And when we do them, we take people into Annalie's Metaverse activation that she has on her site, and it just blows people away. Really, they just they just can't believe it. It just seems unbelievable to them that this is possible, even.
Yeah.
And you can teletransport by clicking a button from one space to another. So let's say if you're a designer listening, like Annalie is an interior designer, but she, is really a rendering artist. That is her business now. But she has spaces set up on Spatial, which is a platform, the Metaverse platform she's on. And one is her design studio where she actually works with her real world clients in her Metaverse activation design studio on the Metaverse platform of Spatial. And within that, they can click a button and teletransport over to a mountain retreat activation that she's designed, which has finer rendering in it. So she's able to show people two levels of what they can actually experience or get for themselves if they had wanted their own metaverse activation. And an important thing for all of you listening to realize is that you can actually have a metaverse activation on your own website. So this can be, depending on what you want, but it can be white labeled to your own website. In addition, if you want it though to be on a platform like Spatial, like Annalise is, you get the extra amplification from Spatial's traffic and Spatial's marketing. So that's just a decision, that everyone has to make individually as to what they want. But it is possible to white label your own metaverse activation on your own website. So it's exciting to realize that if you do have traffic to your site, that you can do that. And then you can give your site visitors an amazing 3D virtual experience that right now they just really won't have hardly anywhere else.
So now I have to make the connection to why again, right?
Okay.
So what would if I'm your garden variety designer, were you saying that Annalie has a connection to her studio? So were you meaning that if she's doing a presentation real time to real clients, as a prospective client, I can join that presentation and just watch and see how she talks and how she walks and how she designs? And it's like watching that presentation like I would watch a concert.
You can actually be in the presentation with a virtual reality headset.
So now, do I want another potential client in the presentation of a current client? Is that really the use that you're thinking of it as, or are you just saying that's a possibility?
No, you wouldn't want that potential client there.
Okay.
You're saying to your current client, come and meet me with your architect or with the builder or with your sister or with your husband.
Oh,
And
duh.
we are going to join this metaverse activation together at 7 p.m. And I have 3 spaces popped up for you. 3 different kitchen options popped up for you as simple renderings. And we are going to walk around in those together so you can feel the spatial relationships and you're going to tell me which one you want.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that is what
Oh,
she's doing. And it works like a charm. And her clients
wow.
love it because it is such a unique experience. And it actually enables them to feel what it's going to be like to be in their
That's
real
crazy.
kitchen.
That's crazy. So,
Yes, it is. It's fabulous. It's
so the
really amazing, actually.
now, so so that's one use for it is,
One.
it's, taking like Duke Renders is one of the sponsors of the podcast. And, I just did a bunch of panel discussions at Las Vegas Market last summer. And, the way the designers were describing how people go from, well, I'm not sure if I want to spend. One designer, Ivan, was talking about he had proposed a $65,000 chandelier, and the client was like, not so much. And then when he took it out of the rendering, he was like, wait, I want that back again. And then he couldn't, he had to have it, the client. And the same with the $35,000 sofa. And so I can see how even just a 3D rendering, and you're talking about like the person could come in and sit on the sofa and the light can go on and off and they can actually feel the experience of it.
Yes, so the light cannot really go on and
Oh,
off in a metaverse activation. I just want to say, but animations, I mean, are possible. So I guess the light could go on and off if it was animated to actually to do so. But what they can do that is very cool is this. And for any designer that works remotely with your clients, in a metaverse activation, you can also have a QR code that is an augmented reality QR code. Augmented reality means that I can take my phone, scan the QR code, and see that item in my home.
oh, whoa.
And if you've never done it, you can go straight out to IKEA's website, click on any item they have, and they have a QR code that enables you to see every single item that they offer in your own home. I just did that this afternoon, or earlier this morning, actually, with one of my own clients that I had a Zoom call with, and we were discussing having a metaverse activation actually on their own site, and they just were blown away. And actually, one of them, her husband was kind of standing by the side. We were on a Zoom call,
Yeah.
and he saw it and how they could then move the item that was on their phone anywhere in their home and see it in their home. So this is huge. As any of you that work with clients remotely or in any way would recognize the importance of that. If you had a metaverse activation on your site and there were QR codes there with the items that you actually wanted to sell your clients, and they could take their phone and click that, take a picture of that QR code, and then see that item in their home, it would,
Wow.
it just, it makes it so easy to sell that
Huh.
item.
That's what happens. Once you see it, and you have to have it. It's
Yeah.
just like, I always use the silly restaurant analogies, but, literally every single day when the waiter says to you, would either of you care for dessert? You could say no 90 times. When they bring the tray and they're like, can I show you the desserts? We're like, sure.
And
And then you
so,
have to have one, right?
yes, and there's one thing about showing, which is a flat rendering, right? Which is
Yeah.
good enough. But if you want to give your clients an up-leveled, complete experience that no one else is giving them in general right now, having a metaverse activation where they can put on virtual goggles or not, but where they can feel like they're in the space is next level. So
It's
when you're
crazy.
talking about luxury marketing, now I want to say for every designer listening, I love hand rendering. I love illustration. The soul that those things communicate is
Yeah.
beyond. And I think we
Right.
all know that. I will always love those things. And that is a beautiful expression of who you are if you're able to do that.
Hmm.
And I encourage you all to learn how to do that if you don't know how to do those things. But if you want to take a client who want something really different and you want to put them in an immersive experience, because again, sketching, illustration, even a flat, those things are flat, right? They're
Hmm.
2D. This is a 3D immersive experience, and that's a real thing to really understand, that it's just taking what you can deliver to your client to the next level.
Right.
And
Right.
you can create, whoever you're working with that is designing that metaverse activation is designing it according to um, your own aesthetic. And so you can have that be and look like whatever you want it to be. So it could actually be designed where they walk into your office. It looks like your office, and then there's a room off to the side, and that's the room that you're wanting them to consider, and they can walk around.
Wait, and your office doesn't have to look like your office. Your office can be built from a beautiful your imagination of what like whoa. like your office could be four white walls, but like I just did a Zoom call with Katie McDonald the other day, and her whole background, she's in Providence, Rhode Island, and her whole background is these huge, like probably 10-foot high windows that are like 3 foot wide, like black frame, and then it's like all brick around it. And there's like all these windows. And I was like, gosh, that's a gorgeous place. And I immediately was like, just, I breathed differently. I felt like I was in the space, but that's not even, I wasn't virtually in that space. So she could have a virtual office that looks like that.
Yes, you can
Whoa.
design that virtual office to look like, or someone can design it for you to look like anything that you want it to look like.
Wow.
So if you want to take your brand and have it, and you want to, let's say, we're always talking about this, right? Law of attraction. But if you want to attract a certain level of client and you don't have that client yet, but you're able to execute that level of work, you just haven't found the right client, you can do a metaverse activation for just that. You can design an absolutely beautiful office space that they're just like, wow. And a
That's really
metaverse activation can be as large as you want it to be. So, financially, it's just a matter of space and time, rendering time, 3D modeling time. I mean, it's all about the time. It's very time consuming. So to have a metaverse activation on your site is not inexpensive for all of you. They're
That's what I
probably
was
like,
wondering. Like, do you call 1-800 Metaverse Activation people to get this? Like, how do you do
no.
this?
So I want to say Anna Lee is probably our country's top person doing this right now as far as an individual person, but there are also many huge companies out there doing metaverse activations for their client, for these big brands. So BitReal is one. Another one would be Polycount is another one. So those two come to mind. But there's many.
So
So
now, when you say it's not inexpensive, like, look, you can get a website built by somebody on Fiverr for $2,000, or you can have a truly beautiful website for like 15K, which is what in my world, if you give me a price for a website that's less than 10, I'm not taking you serious, like from scratch, right? So is it like that? It's like going to a metaverse activation person or versus a website? Like, how does that work?
yeah, no, website designer would not be able to do this. They
No,
would
no,
just
no, no. I don't mean like it's the same, but I mean, is it the
price.
same? You're going to a professional that this is what they build, just like
Yes,
I go to a professional
yeah,
website builder.
exactly, LuAnn. Yes, you would definitely go to a professional. It's very, very technically complicated. So you're looking price wise, probably anywhere from starting like small, around maybe 25 or $30,000, going on up to really whatever. Um,
Okay. And
so
is this when I think about the 25 to 35K starting investment, is this I'm going to use it in a very simplified term. Like, WordPress is a plugin for your website, right? So is this like this person builds this thing for 25 to 35K and up, and then it gets loaded into my existing website, or am I trashing my existing website and I have to, no. So it, it gets built and then enabled into my website.
absolutely, it's uploaded to your website.
Whoa,
Yes,
whoa, whoa, whoa. Now,
yes,
when you were talking about, okay, so if I want to have this experience for my clients, if I'm like this designer and I'm like, yep, I'm in. I want to be able to have my clients come and have the immersive experience, and maybe I'm a designer located in Texas and I keep attracting clients in Bermuda, right? And I want to give them the same experience than as if they were in person. That's what's happening, right? So, because we know, you and I both know that designers typically, especially when you're pitching luxury, there is a whole thing that's happening. The candles are lit. And that's another thing. Can you smell things in the metaverse?
No, not yet.
Okay. But like the candles, the lighting is right, and there's things and all the things, right? It's not just like, hey, come in, I'll just throw my crap on the table and see if you want to buy it. So what you're saying is, now if I'm presenting via Zoom, I am going back to that. It's me and you in the camera, and I'm holding up the board, right? So now I'm back to that true presentation experience, that true immersive experience.
Well, and here's what I would do for all of you that are luxury designers. I mean, if it was really me doing this, I would prepare so before I made a major presentation this way, I would prepare a package, a beautiful one, and send it to my client. Candle, something to eat, maybe a bottle of wine, right? So they set their dining table up, maybe instructions, beautiful bow and ribbon and paper, right?
Interesting.
They open the box, everything's laid out, they get their computer set up, and then boom, and they're walking in to your office with a virtual reality headset on. That would be the ideal scenario.
Wow.
And you can actually send your clients, there's little like cardboard virtual reality glasses, which we had for Seasonal
Yes.
Living Show House.
Yes.
So in that box, you can send them cardboard virtual reality glasses. They can put those on, and then you open up your own website and you go to a private link where this page lives on your website, and there's your office, and they start walking in it as if they're there, and there's the space that you've designed for them. And every item in that space is linked and has a QR code, and they can see it in their home.
Wow.
That is next level.
That is next level. So the thing is, investments are the actual investment in the technology for the metaverse activation on your site. Then you are investing in high quality renderings, like from Annalie or Duke Renders, whoever it might be. This is that.
No, I want to be clear on that. You are, well, I mean, not that I know Duke Renders is one of your sponsors. So they would have to know, not that they couldn't do the rendering, but they are probably not at the point where they can take that, because there are several other processes.
It's specific rendering for metaverse activation,
Exactly.
not just your garden variety rendering.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'm glad I see. I probably would have in the outro been like, "Hey," and call Duke Renders for some rendering.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, not inexpensive investment. Now, I don't imagine there's any way that you can know the answer to this, but maybe you do. Is it the sort of thing where I invest 25 or 30K this year, and then like in 3 years, it's all like, technology, it moves, you buy a phone and 3 years later, it feels like it's like, your Mac. It's like, it stops. It's like, stopping. You know what I mean? Like, so are we going to go through that same thing, spend this kind of money, and then the advances are so great that my metaverse activation looks like I'm driving a Ford Edsel car in 3 years? Like, what's that like?
I think just like anything, you're going to have to refresh your showroom.
Yeah. Okay. But hopefully not tear it down and put new walls up. I can do add additions, plugins, and certain things. Okay. All right. So this is insanity. All right. So now I just have an actual question since you brought it up regarding LuAnn Live. So I get it. Like, I would, if I'm a designer, but like if I were going to do a metaverse thing for LuAnn Live, say I had an extra 30K lying around to have this done to my website, Leslie, right? Then what? I'm now investing in a rendering of the actual stage, the actual event. And then I'm saying there's metaverse tickets available. You could be here in person, or there's metaverse tickets available.
And that's where the marketing, which you are obviously an expert at, comes in. Be one of the first people to experience LuAnn Live as your avatar in a metaverse activation. The world will be on it, LuAnn.
Oh my God. But see, so I get it. So now I go back to, here's the thing, like, I do get it. And of course, I do know how many of my listeners would like to be there, but don't have the time or the flexibility with small children or elderly parents if they can fly and be in town in Orlando. But at the same time, how do we you know what? I'm going to answer my own question. You have to figure out from a marketing standpoint what incentivizes the some people to come and the other people to not. Because to me, if I'm not with everybody, like what the hell? You know what I mean? Come on. Like I did do LuAnn live virtually, Leslie, but you have to understand, I rented a huge ballroom at the Marriott locally here, and like I say, I had anything to do with it. You know, Mike Perlow Productions, he built 3 huge stages around this ballroom. And one was the green screen where it looked like I was overlooking New York City when I was talking, directly just me and the audience. Then the other stage was all the Zoom cameras and all the TV screens. So I was interacting with the audience live. And then the third stage was what I call, the Tonight Show stage, where I had the desk and then he live streamed like a live broadcast my guests from all over the country into the thing. And it was electric. It was electric and it was freaking fun. But I was alone all day, except for Vita and Diana, who were helping me and my makeup artist, and it's like, it's fine. But when it was over, I was like, well, I guess after 2 days, we just go home. like there was no at the bar at night. And, it was crazy. So it was a fun bonding experience for the three of us, but it's a very different experience at LuAnn Live when we're all together.
Exactly. And so that's why I've always felt that trade shows, I mean, I think we all feel like that. We will always need a real experience, a live trade show. And it's not for the content, it's for the people, right?
Right.
So that's why I feel like both things have a place, because you said it exactly. So from a designer standpoint, a lot of them just cannot, I mean, they have to go to trade shows, right? They have to for work.
You should, if you're going to do professional and personal development, you should be putting X amount of shows per year into your calendar, period, right?
But think about it. As a designer, you have a family vacation.
Oh, there's a show every week or month. I swear to goodness, you can't throw a dart at the calendar and there isn't something happening in the design world that you could go to, right?
Exactly. And then you have all the conferences taking place, right?
Yeah.
In person. And there's a lot of those now, we have to admit. Yeah. And so, every designer is forced, they don't want to have to choose, but they are forced to choose what they attend in person. And what they're going to attend in person, I mean, and all of you listening know what I'm talking about, is really the thing that's probably going to you have to think, what is going to most benefit my business? Right now, what do I have to have for business purposes? And what's going to, help me network at the same time? But and what's going to give me the best content? And really, no one really knows. I mean, we all know and love you. We always know you deliver great content, LuAnn. But, attending your conference isn't inexpensive. And
right.
Then there's a hotel. And
right.
Then there's
and
a flight.
Travel.
And then there's a daycare. And then there's a lost time from work. So
Yep.
These are the things that are really going through designers' minds when they're any conference and any trade show. It's not just the cost of the thing itself. It's all of the ancillary costs that come along with it compared to what else they can be investing their money in. So that's where having a metaverse activation experience for your guests and anyone else is so valuable, because that allows so many more people to come, but they can do it at 2 a.m. Metaverse activations are one side, but that is the virtual immersive experience that's very, very fun. That we've been talking about. But I do want to, talk about AI, because I know everyone listening is really interested in AI.
Yes, let's do that.
Lots of positives and negatives. So if you're ready, we can turn the conversation.
Yeah, no, right. So that it's funny because that's what I said to you at the beginning. I was reading the thing and I was like, oh, I thought we were going to talk about AI. And then I was like, what is AR and what is metaverse? And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to ask her on the show. So yes. So let's turn to, a few minutes about AI and how you see that in the field. So first of all, for every designer listening, I want you to know there is nothing that will replace the soul that you bring to a project. There is nothing that will replace the execution ability that you bring to a project. There's nothing that will ever replace the problem solving ability that you bring to a project. And there's nothing that will ever replace what I would call the therapeutic aspect
as many of you know, that you bring to a project for your clients. You are irreplaceable as designers. So you never have to worry about AI replacing, in my opinion, ever your jobs.
I agree.
So I think it's really important for me to state that for everyone on the record for all time.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said it. And I have to tell you, I just made a note for the writers and the videographer, to find this part of the quote because I 100% believe you. And I love that you said it so just direct and with kindness and love and belief. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I would never, I think all of you that do know me already would know that I would never do anything that would usurp the designer's role in our society. I have dedicated my life to supporting interior designers and doing interior design myself. So I want you all that are listening to know that.
Right.
What I do think, though, is that this is going to be, it is already becoming the next level of digital marketing. And I am a digital marketer. That is my business. Digital marketing is my business. And I think it's important to understand how to use AI ethically in order to create content and also for product design. So, two things. AI is very, very fast. It is a wonderful catalyst for creativity. If you are stuck on a problem and you're trying to figure it out, or if you know you have a presentation and it's like, I don't have any ideas and I've got to get this done, and your kids are screaming at you and you're whatever, just going to Midjourney and putting in a text prompt is going to get you unstuck because it's something is going to come up that is going to make you like, oh, I never thought of that. Because what is great about Midjourney AI is that you do not know after you enter your text prompt exactly what you're going to get. And many times what you get is something fantastic, like a great idea that just pops up in that image. And it's just like, wow. And the truth is, your mind says, I certainly never thought about that right now. You may never even have thought about doing something that way. And an example is I put in a text prompt yesterday, design a vanity stool with a white Carrera marble cushion that looks like dripping candle wax. And if you go to my IG feed, Leslie M. Carothers, you will see that image. And it's just fantastical. Like it could be made actually.
Wow.
But that's what Midjourney allows you to do is it experiment with your mind, with your imagination, and just see what comes up. So it's like you and this artificial intelligence are collaborating together to come up with something, wow, and it works.
So here's
So
the thing. So I hadn't heard of Midjourney. So it sounds like Midjourney is the visual version of like ChatGPT. It
yes,
results in an image rather than a text.
yes,
And it's funny because you said something there that I like and I want to kind of just emphasize. It's when we work with our peers or our employees. So if a design firm owner has got her 2 or 3 senior designers and they all sit at the table and they're like, okay, what kind of fireplace are we going to design here for Mrs. Smith? Nobody thinks it's cheating when they brainstorm and take an idea from Sally, add to it, yes, and how about this? But to think that it's cheating to start with AI, like you're still have to put your own spin on it. You still have to get it made. You're probably not going to just take it and be like, here, this is the thing, right? It's like, that's what I use ChatGPT and Poe for. It's just get my brain going. Like, I'm not, and I have to tell you what I've learned. I don't know if this is the same for Midjourney, but like with ChatGPT is, the more I feed it what I have created, so like every couple of days, I put 2 or 3 chapters of my book in there. And I'm like, I want you to start to learn my voice. This is my voice. This is my beliefs. This is my ideas. This is my content. When I ask you questions in the future, search my content for the information. Like, how crazy is that, right?
it is crazy. I mean, ChatGPT as a whole is fantastic for. I mean, many people in my Facebook community are using it for blog writing. We've been talking about that, or blog ideas. But Midjourney is the visual thing that
It's
I've really
visual.
been,
Wow.
talking a lot and helping designers understand how to learn through our workshops. And it is so easy and fast. And when you learn it, I mean, it just blows everyone away. And the thing is, the content that it creates is beautiful.
Wow.
Now, it doesn't have soul. It's not from your brain, but it is from your words. So what's interesting to me is somehow people are not thinking that words have value. So when someone says, "Well, it's not from my brain," well, your words are from your brain and they
Mm.
are your original words. So those text prompts you're using are your original imagination, the original way you're using words to give the bot a prompt that results in an image. So,
So let me understand that. So here's the thing. I get the concept, but what I mean is that if I give Midjourney a thing that says, make me a beige sofa, then Midjourney is going to pull from the internet and possibly feed me someone else's design of a sofa. Whereas if I say, I would like a sofa like you did, that looks like candles, melting on Carrera, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I get specific, then it actually is conjuring it, because isn't the bot sort of searching all of the internet to come up with this stuff, right?
yes,
So if we give it basic prompts, we are going to come up with quote unquote somebody else's, a combination of other people's stuff, right?
combinations of every image that these artificial intelligence models are being trained on. And that is definitely a thing out there right now, as probably everyone here knows. But here's how I look at that. What is Google?
Right. 100%. It's just searching the internet for
You're
everything that
searching the
exists.
internet for all the articles about whatever it is you want to write about.
It's funny. My one son-in-law is very tech forward, tech savvy. And he said to us, I don't know, a couple of, 2 months ago at dinner or whatever, he said, do you know what's going to be? He goes, in my prediction, one of the top jobs that young people will be trained and will be like the next, like, type of big job is being at the, I don't know how to describe it, but like training and being text prompters for
Yeah,
AI,
I
right?
agree with
Like, because it's like garbage in, garbage out. If I ask you for a dumb question, I'm going to get a not so great answer, but the more I can formulate, and I know that myself, when I play with that, I'll ask it and then I'll rephrase it. And I'll say, no, how about that? And then each time you tweak it, you get better results. And so he was like, yeah, he goes, if I were having kids now, he goes, I'd be like, we're going to have a college course for you on AI prompting,
Yes. Well, that's, we do these monthly Zoom workshops, LuAnn, Annalee, and I, and they're called Metaverse and Midjourney. And I do teach designers basic prompting. Like that's what I do through the workshop.
Okay. So
So,
tell us about these workshops. You mentioned it a couple of times. So is there a fee? You can pay for one? You have to do a subscription? Are they free? I have no idea. It's the first time learning about it.
okay. So no subscription. I could do all those things, but I don't. No, it's $149 per workshop. They're 2 hours and that's it. There's a limit of 25 people that can attend each one because we get a ton of questions. We need to make sure that we have the time to answer all the questions. So that's it. They're monthly. It's on my website. Am I allowed to share the?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Mm-hmm.
It's savorpartnership.com, SAVOUR partnership.com/workshops with an S on the end. If you look at that link, our latest workshop will always be there and you can register for it there. And our next one, well, I don't know when this podcast will be live, but we have one September 7th, and then we have another one October 26th, and they're all in Thursdays. And then we have another one December 7th. There's not going to be one in November. So for this year, those are the dates. Thank you for letting me share that, LuAnn. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Sure. So, and I guess they are, is it the type of learning that pretty much it's You know what like, I'm thinking like a yoga class. Like, I could go if I'm a beginner or I'm a 10-year yogi, I can go to the exact same class and we can both get benefit of it because I'm not ready in my first yoga class for the things that I'm going to get out of it after 10 years. Or so is it like that? There's so much to just come in, or is it topical? Like, this month we're taking this topic regarding
Oh, I see.
Midjourney.
No, anyone can it's for beginners, and anyone can come in at any time, no matter where they are. So if you come into that class, you're going to learn how to text prompt in Midjourney. You are also going to learn what metaverse activations can do for you, and you're going to experience it yourself. And you're going to be able to answer your question and get any question you want answered.
Right.
So no, we're not at this point. We are not doing like a section 1, 2, 3, 4, so that
Right. It's like
further.
yoga, just go. Like, you
Yeah,
can get more out of it the more you know, but you don't feel bad because you've never been to one before. It's just you
exactly.
learn what you learn. So the thing is, the point of these workshops, you're more helping designers to understand how to go on the Midjourney's AI platform to enhance their design practice. We're not necessarily like, I'm sure there's some major design firm owners out there that probably might be thinking about making that investment into having the metaverse activation on their own website. But it's two separate things. It's not like, oh, I heard that 30K number, I'm out. It's like, no. There's ways to use this metaverse, platforms to your benefit in your day-to-day business without having your own metaverse activation.
Yeah, so there's two parts to this. Anna Lee does the first part on the metaverse piece, and then I do the piece on Midjourney. And so that's we
Okay.
do it together because Anna Lee is able to show designers how she's using AI all the way through a design. And that is an eye opener for every designer that sees that part of her
Wow.
presentation. So Midjourney doesn't take any money to learn how to use, except for they do have a subscription rate. But I don't make, I'm not an affiliate. There's no money that I'm making except for the $149 that I'm splitting with Anna Lee. So
Right.
that's it. But my goal right now with all of this is really just to help any of you that are listening or watching now on YouTube, really learn how to do some text prompting and learn how to take this technology and use it in your businesses in whatever way is good for you. But I do want to stress one thing, and I stress this very strongly in my workshops. But for all of you watching me or listening, I think it's very important to be very clear about which images you share are AI generated and which ones aren't. I think there is an ethical issue there, and I would like to really encourage every designer to have a very clear disclosure standard. And for me, what that looks like is on the image itself, I think there should be a little teeny label that says AI assisted design or AI generated design. And in addition, if you are sharing that image on Instagram or anywhere, I believe that in the first two lines of the caption, the lines that people see before they click more, it should say playing around with AI or in this AI generated image. So, as designers, what you don't, and I understand what you don't want, there's a fear out there. The fear is this, that designers that are inexperienced will use AI generated images to get work, but aren't able to actually execute the work. And that hurts the overall profession of design. And I agree with any of you that are listening that feel that way. And I don't want to see that happen. So I am very specific in my workshops about clear disclosure, how to do it properly. And I am very actively sharing images that people tag me in so that if they are clearly disclosed, so I can at least on my little level, show people how it's being done. But on the image itself, in the first line, in your blog post, if you're sharing an AI image, make sure on the image itself, because if the image gets detached, from your blog post and it floats out there on Google, it's going to look like real world design. And we all know that some of these images are not real world design
Right.
and they're not even what you would really do in the
Right.
real world. You're just sharing them to get attention, which is fine, or to capture attention, I should say, which is great. But make sure they're labeled as such so that we don't get consumers confused. And if you happen to be a homeowner consumer slash consumer watching this, I think it's very important in today's world that you ask questions of the designer you're considering hiring to make sure that they do have the ability to execute on the level of design that you're asking them to execute on. So we would like there to be no bad actors in the world, but there are. And so what I don't want to see happen is you as a homeowner consumer get hurt. And I don't want to see the profession of design get hurt because there are people that are taking on work that are not qualified to take on the work.
Yeah, that's so well said, and it needs to be, because to your point, you can, in your mind's eye, create anything. And if the Mid-Journey can also make that happen, that doesn't mean you have the chops to actually deliver on that. And so we need to understand, each of us, where we're at, what our capabilities are, and make sure that we're able to deliver on what we say we're going to do. I mean, that's just the way business is. Let's be serious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're ethical about the way you're
Yeah.
running your business, but their AI images are rampant
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
and which is fine because they excite people. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, HGTV images excite people, but we all know how we feel about HG, about some of those. So at least we have this ability to create a very luxurious image and a very
Mm-hmm.
beautiful image. Um, but we also need to make sure that the person sharing that is able to execute. And that's the last thing. Even if you're listening and you're someone that's brand new in design, you don't want to get sued by your client because you misled them with this
Right.
type of image. I mean, I see that kind of thing potentially also happening.
Mm-hmm.
So be very careful because this is a whole new field. This
Yes.
technology is very new and lots of things are going to happen in the future. So I think the clear disclosure and the labeling is super important point
Yeah,
on
I
all of
agree with
this.
you. I think it's, you know what, like I'm typically an early adopter. I'm typically, let's go. This is cool. Like, it's like you said, the train has left the station. Am I going to figure out the way to do whatever, enhance my business, my life, my whatever, based on this new thing that's coming out? But always with a mind to being a good human, right? Like it's that part of it too. And so you can't abandon that. But I don't think it makes a lot of sense when you talk about, when the beginning of the show, when you talked about the size of the industry, that it's the combination of all those other industries and then some. This is not going away. Like, it's just not going to, it's just illogical. So, yeah, like, we're not going away either. Like you said, the individual soul, heart, brain of the individual designer designing, that's also not going away. But how are we doing it? It's funny, on a very, very, like, completely, me with my darn analogies. It's kind of like when you have a nanny for your kid. You want that nanny to love that kid, to hug that kid, to read to that kid, to snuggle that kid. But you don't ever have to worry that that kid is going to love the nanny more than you. You're the mom. Like, the kid knows you're the mom. Like, as long as you're
Exactly.
not a jerk, you know what I'm saying? As
Yeah.
long as you're loving and snuggling and feeding and hugging too, there's no competition there. It's no competition. And I feel like when you said your statement at the beginning that you have to still literally intrinsically know the value that your heart, soul,
Yes.
brain
Yes.
brings to design, and not be threatened by this advancement, right?
Absolutely, LuAnn. You just said it very beautifully. That is exactly right. You have to have faith in your heart and soul, and to know that for most clients at the luxury level, that's what they're hiring. And we talk about that all the time. They're hiring your personality, right? There's lots of people that have a certain skill set and they're hiring you because they fall in love with who you are as a
Mm-hmm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no AI bot that can take my heart away or yours or anyone's that we know.
Right.
So there is no reason in my mind to be fearful of AI. However, there is another piece that I want to get out really quick. Do I have time?
Yep. Go right ahead.
Okay. So AI is also excellent for product design. And here is a huge new revenue opportunity I see for designers and for brands. So, what is the most profitable thing you as a designer can do for a client? Deliver a custom bespoke piece of furniture to them. They love it. It's one of a kind, and you are making a full margin on it. And they're happy to let you make that because they have something that no one else has that's been personalized just for them. What is the most profitable thing a manufacturer can build? A custom, bespoke, one of a kind piece of furniture for a designer.
Right. It's the best margins.
Right?
Right.
What does Midjourney allow you to do? It allows you to use your imagination, enter a text prompt, and say, design a vanity stool with white marble top looking like dripping candle wax, and out comes a design.
Wow. That's crazy.
And you have a product design. Not only that, you have an image that you can place on your website. Now, go to any manufacturer that you know that does true custom that you think could actually make that thing, get a quote, get your quote, and start your own mini collection on your own website of things that you can have made one of a kind for any client that wants it. And then as it's sold, you take it off your site, replace it with something else. And if you have social channels and you know how to digitally market, you can sell those bespoke pieces through your social channels or just individually to your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And this product design cycle is something that Midjourney makes fast. 25 seconds to get an image.
Right,
So
right,
you
right.
can create your own collection within a half an hour, really. Yes. Yes, you can. So
that's insane.
it is insane. And on that note, I think you know, LuAnn, but for all of you listening, I was asked to collaborate. Am I allowed to talk about this?
Yeah, go ahead.
With a luxury kitchen and bath brand called Thompson Traders. Some of you may know them. And I got a crazy email from them. I wrote a blog post about this for any of you that want to read the Black story. But bottom line, I got an email and the subject line said, crazy idea. And I'm like, what? So I read it and it said, how would you like to design a sink for us in AI that we will manufacture out of solid copper? I'm like,
Wow.
holy caroli. Not in a million years, LuAnn and listeners, did this ever enter my mind that some brand would contact me to design a sink using AI? I'm not a product designer. I'm not even an interior designer anymore. So it was just out of the clearest of blue skies, really, that this happened.
Oh my goodness.
But here's the wild thing. So I spent about 3 hours delivering text prompts to Midjourney to come up with a sink design that I felt I liked, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I presented it to Thompson and they fell in love with it. And as I speak right now, their artisans are making it and the real thing will debut at KBIS
Oh,
2024.
for crying out loud. I knew you
Yes.
had designed it. I didn't realize it was actually being manufactured and
Yes.
fabricated.
Yes.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Yes. So the thing is, what's wild, everyone listening, and I want you to realize the potential of this for yourselves, is that Thompson put the sink in a pre-reserve on its website. So you can't give them money for it, but you can pre-reserve one in their production line because artisans, they are made one by one out of solid copper.
Right.
So I never in a million years thought that something I would design on Midjourney would ever be, this would ever happen. But the bottom line is people are starting to reserve this sink,
Oh,
really,
for crying out loud.
which
Good
is
for you.
not inexpensive and it doesn't even exist yet in the
That's
real
crazy.
world.
That's crazy.
So this is a proof of concept. And the reason I really want to share those with everyone is not to get you to buy the sink. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you as designers understand that this is available for you. That if the image is and the thing itself is beautiful enough in someone's minds and you make it available for them to buy, they will buy it.
Yeah.
And
right.
I never in a million years expected that people already would be lining up to buy the sink, but they really are.
That's amazing.
Individual homeowners are, showrooms, designers. So they just, people are loving the design of the sink, which makes me thrilled. But the real reason I'm doing it is to show everyone that this can be done with this new technology. So you don't have to know how to be a product designer, because if you're working with one of your custom manufacturers that's really custom, they know how to do the drawings for you, and they will.
That's
And maybe
crazy.
you have to pay them to do that, but you can
Right.
still do that, right? Or you
Right.
pay somebody else. But here you have this image that you love, it's beautiful, and you can see people are commenting like crazy on it, and you're like, if I can find a manufacturer to make this for me, you can pay for one yourself to be made, put it on your website, and boom, you have your own collection. And
Yeah.
you, designers, are making full margin and not the 5 to 7% that you normally get from a licensed deal.
Right. Right. Right.
Yes.
Right. 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 I get it.
Yes.
Yep. Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. That's
Yes.
awesome.
So,
Oh my goodness.
anyway.
This has been amazing. Like completely different conversation I thought we were going to have, but
Okay.
so fun and so interesting. Lots to think about. And you've shared the points that we need to consider seriously, but also, just taking your biggest message too is I think two things. It's here. So get on board or get out of the way and have fun with it, right? Figure out a way to have fun with it. So
Yes.
that's awesome, Leslie. Thanks so much for being with us, being
Thank
with
you,
me here
LuAnn.
today.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everybody that's watching. Appreciate it so much or listening. It was wonderful to have this opportunity to reach so many people with this message and this new technology. So, LuAnn, thanks so much.
I have to say, this conversation did not go the way I thought it was going to go. I've heard of AI. I use ChatGPT on the regular. I know the video games that my grandkids play. I don't know what they do, but I know they play them. But I had not heard of this metaverse thing, and much less understand what possibilities it has for our industry. This surprised me, and it was super fun and interesting to be surprised. Okay. Now, you heard me. I had a hard time grasping the why. Why would we want to be an avatar and hang out in metaverse activations? I've understood the value of virtual reality walkthroughs in 3D applications, but this goes deeper. Right now, at my heart, I'm a face-to-face kind of person. You know that. My things are live. LuAnn Live is live. My LuAnn University are live taught classes. Okay, because I want that connection. I want that next step made beyond the event itself, beyond the class at LuAnn University. I want you to have a relationship with the instructor and your peers. Same at LuAnn Live. Okay, but what I'm starting to understand is that this is being in the room, just in a different way. It can be a game changer. There are many reasons why someone cannot attend a conference, right? Maybe you have a young family and no one to watch your kids for the days. Maybe you have aging parents who need supervision. Or maybe you're just not the in-person kind of person. And the idea of traveling across the country to stay away from your home for 3 or 4 or 5 days is just not your idea of a good time, okay? Or maybe the dates just don't work, okay? So here's the thing. What if being in person wasn't necessary, but we could still learn, engage, and spend time kind of face to face still with peers and mentors and a community, right? I don't know, starting to see some possibilities here. All right. And then when you start to think about not just what this means for learning and community, but the implications that it has for you and your client experience, it continues to make sense. Right? When I think about the concept of being able to show like WindowWorks customers, window treatments in their home in real life, or being able to actually put them under an awning in their backyard, okay? Or being able to change out the details with a click of a button, it's kind of hard not to be interested in that, I have to say. Part of me still has trouble visualizing it, but part of my mind is racing with the possibilities. Okay. Now, this concept of the sink that Leslie designed, that's pretty crazy pants. It is a great case study for the possibilities of AI in our industry. But I want to hone in on something Leslie said that I've also been saying here. There is nothing. Repeat. There are very few nevers, always, nothings, all the things in our life. But there is nothing that will replace the soul you bring to a project. You know why? Because it's your actual soul. It's your actual human soul that you bring to a project. Okay? Nothing that can replace how you execute, how you deliver a client experience. Okay? Now, I know there's a lot of buzz out there. There's fear and nervousness about what AI can and will do and what jobs it can and will replace. And in response to fear, some of us are going to stay away. And I got to say, if you do that, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot. You know, if you are old enough to be be around, run a business pre-computer, think about if you just said no. If I, type this on this computer and I Google search how to spell something, or I Google search a data point, I'm not really the one doing this project. I'm not really the one putting this information together. Like, think about how absurd that is right now, right? So this is that same thing. AI can and should help us. It can help us be quicker and more productive. It can jump in and showcase our understanding of a project and a vision, like Leslie mentioned. It can help with product design. It can help us create content to be more efficient. At the end of the day, we are the ones creating, right? You get this, right? When we have a conversation with a friend or a brainstorming session with our team, one idea builds on another. Because you tweak, you iterate, you create and recreate. So the thing is, this is like your sounding board is AI. It still starts with you, your brain, your creativity, and you are ultimately the decision maker, the one who holds the cards on the final decisions, right? So it's not like you can sit down at your computer and open up an AI and it'll just say, hi, here's your room design. like you have to put you into it to get something out. And so how is it different if you are the principal of a design firm and you task your team with putting together a room design that you review, you tweak, you edit, you polish, and how do they do it better and better each time? Because they learn through your guidance, through your vision, through the iteration of each time they propose to you and present to you, they learn better and better and better what you like and what you want to present. I have had these conversations over and over with interior designers, okay? They're like, oh my goodness, my team is at the point now where we have the initial concept meeting with the client. I have initial meeting with them. And, months ago, they'd give me a presentation and there would be 10 edits. And they're getting so good and so cohesive, and they're really understanding my vision for my design firm that now there's very little editing. They're showing up with first and second draft out of the gate. How is that different? How is that different? You've taught them your vision, and you're okay with them doing the steps, and then you tweak it and you edit and you put your final you on it. It's the same thing. Okay. All right. So I just have to say, I love it. I think it has potential. Everybody will have to figure out for themselves how to use this tool. All right. Of course, just like anything, look, I can remember when I was in 5th grade, and I say to my team all the time, go plagiarize my, article for Window Fashion Visual Magazine like a 5th grader and make it a podcast for me. It's my information. I wrote it. Just tweak it. Just change it a little bit, and let's revise it so it sounds like a podcast now, right? But I can remember being in 5th grade and I can literally recall 5th grade, having to do reports, and we would have to go to the encyclopedia because we all had our Funk and Wagnalls collection of A to Z encyclopedias in our home. You were super, super privileged if you had that, okay? And, your mom bought it for like $10 a month off of, some mail order thing, all right? And looking up, like one time I had to do a report on Rhode Island. And the thing is, did I invent any facts about Rhode Island, or did I read 2 or 3 things here and there and then put my own take on my own understanding on it? So we have done this through all of time. It's just quicker now. And I think that's the scarier part. Okay. So I know I'm beating a dead horse here. So I just want to say, give it some thought, play with it. You want to stand in your space knowing what you put out in the world is actually yours. But like I said, that's been the case since you were in 5th grade reading the Funkin' Wagnalls. All right. And Leslie, thank you so much. Thank you for always being on the cutting edge of all of this stuff, always blowing my mind. I think every time I run into you at an event or something, there's always something else that you're telling me. And I'm just like kind of staring at you with my jaw way open going, wow. So I love that you always make me think. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.